All right, so for this shape, we're gonna do a pyramid, but we're not gonna do an equilateral pyramid. We're gonna do a pyramid that the bottom and the sides have different lengths, okay? So I decided before I did this, my test, that I was gonna make a 3-inch base and a 5-inch and 5-inch side. So the bottom is gonna be 3 inches and the sides are gonna be 5 inches, okay? This shape is not hard. It's just you have to use a different set of, well, not a different set of tools, but you have to use the tools that you have a little differently. What I'm gonna do though, is I'm gonna start, let me make sure this is in frame. I'm gonna start with my T-square at the very bottom, as far as I can get to the bottom without getting too close. And I'm gonna start as far to the left as possible. I think I'm gonna leave an inch here, okay? And I'm gonna just use my T-square to kind of line up right there. And I'm gonna measure out 3 inches, because remember, we're gonna do a 3-inch base on our pyramid. So I'm gonna measure out 1, 2, 3, okay? That is our pyramid. I'm gonna put a couple little marks on the side. We need to find the middle of this point, okay? Because we're gonna measure up from that middle point. Half of 3 is 1.5. So I'm gonna find 1 and 1/2. That is our center point for this shape, okay? I am then gonna turn my T-square. So remember, 3 inches, okay? 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inches. I'm not looking here, I'm counting from 1, okay? 1, 2, 3. That is the base. That is the base length of this shape, okay? So half of 3 is 1.5. So I put a mark at 1.5 in the middle. Now I'm gonna turn this. I'm gonna line my T-square up with that middle point, and I'm just gonna draw a line straight up, just like so. This is where it starts to get a little more challenging, because I'm not measuring 3 inches up, okay? I'm gonna go 5 inches up this shape. So I'm gonna line my protractor, okay? I'm gonna try to line it up, and the more accurate you are with these shapes, the better off you will be in the end, okay? They won't be as wonky. If you don't measure properly, sides start to not fold correctly, and it just becomes more challenging. So I'm gonna line this up as closely as I can. Remember, I said I'm gonna do 5-inch base, sorry, a 3-inch base with 5-inch sides. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay? Same thing on the other side. I'm gonna just line it up, 5 inches, and I want this to be as perfect as humanly possible. There's no such thing as perfect, but when you're doing these types of things, like measuring, cutting wood, especially if you're doing something like building a house or a shed, it's important to get your shapes measured correctly. Now, because this is not equilateral, we can't do the same thing that we did with our equilateral pyramid. We actually have to use a protractor and measure this angle, okay? Because we want to reproduce this angle either 3 or 4 times. I'm going to do a 4-sided pyramid, so we have to measure this angle right here. Okay, I believe this is called an acute angle right here. I'm not a math person, but I think that's what it's called. So we're gonna line up our protractor. This dot is gonna be at the tip of the pyramid or on that 5-inch mark. And this line is gonna line up with this one of the sides of the pyramid, just like so, okay? Now we can see that this angle is about 30, or actually it would be 145 degrees. So actually, I don't know if that's 145 or if it's 35, but I'm just gonna look at this number, okay? So we know it's 35 or 145 degrees, essentially. So I'm gonna move my protractor to this line this little dot up, just like so, okay? Match it with that line. I'm gonna find 35 or 145, okay? And I'm gonna put a little dot. Now, from this point there, I'm gonna line those up. Remember, we're doing 5-inch walls, so I'm gonna literally find 5 inches, line it up with this dot, and we're just gonna draw a line. Oh, draw a line those two should now be exactly the same. And we can connect this dot to that dot, okay? You might want to measure this though, just to make sure it's 5 inches, because remember, the more accurate we are, the better. So we're gonna go to 5 inches, put a little dot, and then we're just gonna connect those dots. All right, so we have 2 sides, same thing. Now we're just gonna turn it, we're gonna line it up right here, that little dot, and on this side, on the right side of this shape, I believe it's right side for you as well. We're just gonna find 35 or 145, put a little dot. And depending on how long your sides are, you might wanna do 3 inches with like 7-inch sides. The angle will change. So just keep that in mind. This isn't gonna be consistent. You have to measure the angle whenever you change the measurements. So we have our little dot, okay? Now I'm gonna take and turn that, line it up on 5 with this little dot, okay? Just like so. This isn't hard, it's just a little bit more confusing. It took me a long time to figure out how to do this, honestly, which it doesn't seem like it should, but it did. Cool, now we have 3 sides. You could actually, I believe you could fold this shape together with 3 sides or 4 sides. So I'm gonna measure out one more time just to make sure I'm on 5. Put a little dot, let's connect those dots just like so. Boom, that's a little off. Let's make sure those are better. Cool, then we literally just repeat one more time. So we're gonna line that little dot up with, as well as this line. We're gonna measure 35 right here, or 145, okay? You could actually mark both if you really wanna get crazy. And then we're gonna line it up with 5 again, because remember, these walls are all 5 inches. Line it up as closely as you can. It really is important when you do this kind of stuff that you take your time and you do it right the first time, because if you do it right the first time, chances of repeating are smaller. Make sure that's 5 inches. Yeah, it is 5 inches, good. And if I was doing this for my shape, I definitely would take a little bit more time, just make sure all these are accurate. Line them up. Now we have a non-equilateral pyramid, okay? Because remember, the base and the sides are different. This base is 3 inches, the sides are 5 inches. All of these are 5. You can put a tab here, going across, just like so. Now when you fold all these lines, okay, when you fold these lines, they should turn into a non-equilateral 4-sided pyramid. That's it. It's not a hard shape, but it definitely is more challenging than the equilateral triangle, because you have to actually use a protractor and figure out the angles. So yeah, just keep that in mind. And once again, like if I wanted to do this 7 inches, this is a 6-inch ruler, okay? I would just measure up from this line, or the side, and this middle line 6 inches, but the angle's gonna change. So you always gotta measure this angle right here. You have to measure this angle to figure out what angle these pyramids are, okay? So line it up here with this dot, and the angle is 35 degrees. All shapes have an angle, whether it's a hexagon, a pentagon, an octagon, all of those shapes have a specific angle measurement that you have to use to make that shape.